Hey, yo, what's up? This is Disciple Marcello Kearns, rain back up in this anti-Illuminati all day. Hey, this message basically is gonna be this. You know, America's supposed to been dead anyway. For you people that act like people like me are the problem, wishing for the destruction of America, wishing for the fall of America, hoping for it. Even if I didn't do that and didn't feel that way, you still deserve to die. Martin Luther King, JFK, slavery, stuff you think is uh, things that you have become insensitive about, but and there's been no justice about. You deserve to die for it. Who you think you are, MacGyver? Who do y'all think y'all are, MacGyver? You deserve to. You can't wiggle yourself out of everything. You know what I'm saying? You've been deserving of death. And that's the problem. This country just goes around doing everything they want to do, how they want to do it, and they expect no repercussions. And this time, God said, no, you're going to pay a heavy price. You're going to pay the total price. And you should have been dead. You should have been dead. Right after Martin Luther King was killed, you should have been dead right then. And you should have started deteriorating after slavery. After I would say you should have started deteriorating after there was still racism and prejudice after slavery. You should have just went ahead and started deteriorating. I think that's more accurate. When the slaves were let go and you didn't change your mentality, you just let them go and you didn't really give them a life or a living wage, then you should have been destroyed right then. Because it's one thing to work a job for a living wage, and it's one thing, and it's another thing to just be working. Like I said, I'm gonna say it again. It's one thing to be working, and it's one thing to be working and making a living wage where you can actually pay for your bills. That's a whole different situation. So, you know, just look at it that way. You lived up to this point after all you've done. You know, Edward Snowden was talking about it. Edward Snowden was talking about how you put 3 days after Martin Luther King Jr. did the I Have a Dream speech, the American government put him on the national security threat list. And this man is making a positive speech. I'm going to do a whole video on the FBI because the FBI was with the head of the FBI, you know, Edgar Hoover was following Martin Luther King all around the country. So we just supposed to just believe that this has become a holy institution, a holy organization after following the greatest leader in this bum country. We supposed to believe it's just that organization is just holy now. That's what I mean. In general, do we supposed to believe that the American government is now holy after all their racism, after all their evils? They're all of a sudden holy. Remind you, the '60s ain't that far away. Wasn't that far away. Wasn't that long ago. The '60s wasn't that long ago, my friend. So in the process of 60 something years, have the government changed? When did it change? The '70s? The '80s? The '90s? The Reagan era? Drug on crime war on drugs era, the Contra era, the smuggling cocaine from through Florida and all the in the borders era, smuggling drugs through the borders of America era. When did America change from the disgusting racism? Because Obama was in office? Let me tell you something. I'll tell you one thing about African Americans being in the White House. Ain't no dark-skinned man gonna be in there. Ain't no dark-skinned president gonna be in there. Ain't no dark-skinned woman gonna be the first lady or the president or the vice president. It is the White House. Okay? Ain't gonna be. You think they gonna let a dark-skinned man run this country? Okay. Uh huh. And I'm not trying to be any way disrespectful to Obama being in office and what he did and all of that. But technically speaking, he is not African American. Really, Michelle Obama was the first African American in the White House, in the first white family, the White House family. She was the first African American of the first family of the United States. Okay? Michelle Obama's that person. Okay? Not Obama. So y'all don't think about this kind of stuff. But that's the truth. I'm not trying to take anything from him when I say that. I'm trying to help you see that the nation would not we have to question if the nation would ever actually put a technical African American in office with dark complexion. We have to wonder. You can't assume all of this just because Obama was in office. You can't assume that. Because we know that white people have always been fond of mulattoes. Now just keep it 100. They have been fond of mulattoes all this whole time. They've had no problem with mulattoes. It never, even from the time of slavery, I would say. Because they took the mulattoes into their house and treated them different from the other slaves. Because the slave master felt like that was his own children. So that really, what does that mean? Until you see African Americans in the White House. Straight African Americans in the White House. Because we could look at it like, you know what I'm saying? That means the white man's just bringing his own into leadership. Just like he did in the slavery times. He brought him in the house. So just because somebody that is biracial comes to the White House, that doesn't mean African Americans have ever been really accepted as far as leadership. You know what I'm saying? That just could be the white man bringing in what he feel is his own. So as far as leadership for the White House, we have yet to see African American. Okay, so this country should have been dead. From the time they killed, in 1999, the American government settled out of court for conspiring against Martin Luther King Jr. And gave his family $100. So they were guilty, as we thought, and they quietly, very quietly, settled out of court for conspiring against Martin Luther King Jr. Not walking around at his rallies. No, conspiring. So again, when has America changed? Yeah. You can't play with people and then expect them to hide your skeletons. I'm not hiding no skeletons. I'm not holding nothing back for you. You still haven't made up for slavery. You was responsible for killing Martin Luther King Jr. You settled out of court in 1999. Quietly, the whole community, most of the American community, don't even know that you conspired against Martin Luther King Jr. They still don't know that. They believe it, they halfway believe it, but don't really know. And you never came, even though you think you took responsibility, you didn't take responsibility of letting the public of America know that you conspired against the greatest leader that has ever been in this bum country. You haven't. So why you think you took the responsibility? You didn't take responsibility. This happened in public. When stuff happen in public like that, you have to publicly apologize and publicly repent. You didn't do that. You quietly settled out of court. That's what you did. Don't see no documentaries about settling out of court with Martin Luther King Jr.'s family for conspiring against Martin Luther King Jr. Don't see no documentaries, movies, or nothing talking about you settling out of court with Martin Luther King Jr.'s family for conspiring against him, and that happening, those court activities happening in 1999. There is no movies, there's no documentaries on it. Not significant ones, not blockbuster ones. So you did it quietly. Yeah, this is something that takes public accountability. We want to see you publicly accountable. Hold yourself publicly accountable for this, which means letting us know publicly as the American community that you conspired against Martin Luther King Jr. Not doing it quietly with his family and giving them $100 and thinking it's all good. And like I said, you know, if you think I'm one of those Americans that act like something happened so long ago that it don't matter, nah. There is no time limit on true justice. That's how I feel. There's no time limit on true justice. So what had happened X amount of time? There's still a need for justice. There's still a need for justice. There's still a need for closure for the people, the American people. They need to know what happened. And you did not really do that. All you did was thinking that you could take accountability by going to court and selling out of court and paying this little money. You think that was your way of being accountable. With someone like Martin Luther King Jr., you need to be accountable also to us for what happened. This was a person of the people. This was a leader for the people. You need to be accountable to us and let us know publicly what happened. But you ain't gonna do that because you're scared you're gonna get thrown over. That's why. You're scared you're gonna get thrown over. Now you can't even get an American to pay attention to that because they feel like it's too long ago and they're short-sighted thinking. And their short span of, their short vision of thinking. They think it's just too long ago, they don't even care. Because they only can see, they can't see afar, whether it's in the past or in the future. I'm gonna say that again. Most Americans cannot see afar, even if it's in the past or in the future. They can't see. You can't think back 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and bring up the necessary things that need to take place and transact in the present. You can't look toward the future and kind of sum up, and you've studied this community over and over again, and you can't see the patterns of what's going to happen already going into the future. So the bottom line to me, based on all this information and all the things that I've learned in the past 10 years, I just feel like, you should be glad to have been alive as long as you all have been alive. As a community, every great empire has to fall, man. Every great empire has to fall. And you're looking for someone to blame, and right now you're trying to use punching bags, especially white America, because it's really your country. So you have the most anger and pain more than black people. Yeah, you do, because this is your Disneyland. This is your Mickey Mouse Club. Let's keep it 100. You've always been saying this your country, especially the racist people. It's your country now too. It is officially your country now. Nobody want this. After Donald Trump, ain't nobody claiming this as their country. Yeah, you better get back in touch with reality. The difference between you and I am in reality. I am well aware of reality. I don't need to be walking around town and driving around town to be cutting edge as far as reality like you do. A lot of you people are driving around in neighborhoods you don't even belong to, trying to stay relevant. Trying to stay relevant. Me as a prophet, I'm going to always be relevant. I'm going to say it again. Me as a prophet, I'm going to always be relevant and ahead of you. Always. It's my nature. It's my design. It's how I'm designed. You can't make me a dinosaur. I'm ahead. I'm 10 years ahead now. This country is not, people are not going to be standing with this country no more. You tell me who's going to be in office in 2024. It's going to either be Donald Trump or somebody else that's going to do a horrible job from the Democratic Party. That's all you got coming, buddy. But see, because you're short-sighted, you can't see. You don't think about it. You don't prepare. You only got Donald Trump coming or some weak person from the Democratic Party. That's all you got coming. That's trouble. That smells like trouble. Because if you don't have nobody right now from the Democratic Party, you're already in trouble. I'm not saying it's people that don't have great ideas from the Democratic Party, but you need someone that is powerful, charismatic, influential, and just a game changer when it comes to this government of America. You need someone that's game changing. You don't need somebody just coming in and acting like a dog catcher. For real. So, all of this paints my point of view. All of this paints my perspective. You know what I'm saying? From the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr., the American government having a conspiring role in that assassination. This all paints my perspective. It doesn't come out of nowhere. It didn't just come out of nowhere. I didn't wake up choosing to despise this country. I educated myself. I looked around, you know what I'm saying? And I'm still looking around presently, and I see that there is no change. There is nobody that is trying to change it. All they're trying to do is maintain it. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is this country's supposed to been dead, man. Unlike other countries, like Rome, when you compare yourself to Rome, Rome didn't have a racist problem like you did. Not so sharply, not so sharply like you do. I'm sure there was a class problem more than anything. I would imagine in Rome, that in ancient Rome, it was a class problem. High class, low class, you know, that kind of thing. But straight up hating Africans, straight up like just hating people for the color of their skin. Was Rome really on that? That's what you got to look at. While you trying to imitate and emulate Rome, look at how Rome didn't really have a racist skin problem like you do. Just looking at people and hating them. You can't really, I never heard anybody say that Rome had a looking at people and hating them problem in their community. This is you. This is you. You can't talk about anything else. I don't care about no slaves in times. Of course, there was slavery in other times. But was there people that look at people's color of their skin the way that you do and just hate them and just discriminate and just hold them back? I don't know. I haven't heard about any other country that had just looked at people and didn't like them. Just look at people and then made up powerfully racist words that's still around now. Did Rome have some special words? Powerfully racist words? No, nobody talks about it. Did Rome have racist words towards a certain race that was as powerful in their culture as the N-word is in America? You got to look at all of this. Why you trying to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak? Because you're still trying to be Rome, in my opinion. That's who you want to be. You either want to be Rome or the Egyptians. I mean, you got an Egyptian landmark on your dollar. That's not even here. Why is it on your dollar? There's no pyramids here. That should be on the Egyptian currency, not on yours. But there you go again, trying to claim everything. America had nothing to do with the Egyptian pyramids. That part. Boom. Keeping it 100. It's time to keep it 100, man. At all costs. It's time to keep it 100, man. Because telling the truth should not be a crime, and telling the truth should not make people fearful. That's the control. You know what I'm saying? You can't control me. Yeah. So like I said, technically speaking, this country's supposed to have been gone. When Martin Luther King Jr. was killed, trying to help this country become, I don't care what time it was and why it was the way it was. I'm talking about repercussions for the way it was. And it should have been dead. That's the bottom line. So count your lucky stars that you even got to see the 80s and the 90s. That you even have those memories. Because you technically supposed to have been dead, my friend, as a community.